Hello and welcome back, friends. Today is about paying homage to one of the most versatile actresses in Hollywood, who, if I may dare say, became quite a phenomenon by the end of the 70s. Sigourney Weaver, with her mass appeal and commendable performances, won the hearts of film lovers for decades to come. However, the most interesting point in her filmography is the risk of leaping into any kind of movie genre, ranging from action, drama, or comedy. So what are we waiting for? Let's take a look at some of her timeless blockbusters. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Aliens. The 1986 sci-fi action film Aliens, directed by none other than James Cameron, saw one of the most praiseworthy performances from Weaver. It's the second film in the franchise after the 1979 sci-fi horror movie Alien. Starring in the lead role, Weaver even got nominated for the Academy Award for Best Actress. It's considered to be one of the biggest hits of the 80s, leading to several prequels and sequels. It even inspired various merchandise like toys, comics, and video games. The movie begins right from the climax of Alien, showing us the sole survivor, Ellen Ripley, who's been in stasis for 57 years following the destruction of her shuttle Nostromo by the aliens. She's rescued and brought back to Earth. Her superiors at the Weyland-Yutani Corporation are suspicious of her statements about alien eggs. After losing communication with the terraforming colony on LV-426, Ripley consents to go there with her crew to look into the matter. She just has one condition: destroying the aliens. The colony has been destroyed and conquered by aliens when they arrive. Soon we discover that Burke, the agent for Weyland-Yutani, intended to make money off of these creatures by using them as biological arms. Ripley assumes command as things get worse, and they make an effort to leave the place before it blows up to bits. Ripley comes across a little girl named Newt and saves her despite being betrayed and attacked. To save Newt and her friends, Ripley engages the alien ruler in a decisive battle. They finally find their way back to the spaceship, but not before having one final face-off with the alien leader. This terrifying chapter comes to an end when they escape the colony and go into hypersleep for the trip back to Earth. Weaver does absolute justice to the role of Ripley, and the movie got positive reviews for its special effects techniques and thrilling scenes. I won't be overstating if I say it was hailed as the game changer in the alien movie genre. Weaver is applauded for holding together the franchise after the underwhelming success of the last film. Aliens can be one of your favorite picks if you want to watch Sigourney in one of her best roles, or, as an esteemed critic said, as an adventure heroine. Ghostbusters. We shall begin this hunt with none other than the greatest American supernatural comedy, Ghostbusters. Hitting the theaters first in 1984, the franchise kept on coming with sequels in 1989, 2016, and 2021, and as late as March 2024. Though cast in the supporting role of Dana Barrett, Weaver played an indispensable part in the film and reappeared in the sequels, barring the last one. I mean, come on, can you even imagine a Ghostbuster story without Sigourney's signature moves? The 1984 Ghostbusters was the directorial masterpiece of Ivan Reitman with a star ensemble. Written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis, this horror comedy was the first to use expensive special effects and, to everyone's pleasure, scored a whopping $282.2 million at the box office. Three parapsychology professors at the University of Columbia, Peter Venkman, Ray Stantz, and Egon Spengler, were fired by the dean due to their study of the paranormal realm. Jobless, the three found Ghostbusters, an organization which examines paranormal activity and eliminates it. They create a nuclear-powered sophisticated technology for catching and containing spirits. Dana Barrett, a cellist, contacts the Ghostbusters when she finds a demonic dog-like thing in a refrigerator that can only speak the word Zool. Paranormal activity surges in the city, making the Ghostbusters popular. They even recruit a fourth member, Winston Zeddemore. Inspector Walter Peck of the Environmental Protection Agency tells Dana that Gozer the Gozerian, a shape-shifting deity of destruction, worshipped Zool, who is actually a demigod that now possesses Dana and her neighbor, Louis Tully. Ray and Egon discover that Dana's apartment was built by the Gozer cultist, Ivo Shandor, to concentrate spiritual energy and evoke Gozer to bring about the end of the world. The Ghostbusters come upon a secret temple hidden within Dana's building. They are attacked by Gozer, when finally an explosion destroys Gozer's avatar and closes the dimensional gateway. The public declares the Ghostbusters heroes after they rescue Dana and Louis. Without Sigourney, the Ghostbusters wouldn't have had a case. The movie was critically acclaimed and instantly became a cultural phenomenon. Its legacy is alive even today, having garnered a cult-like fan following. Comics, clothing, and video games were launched following the film's success, and the franchise gained international recognition. Definitely keep this movie on your list if you want to watch some light-hearted horror coupled with a promising plotline. Alien. Remember the movie about aliens we discussed a few minutes back? The one with Weaver being the sole survivor of an extraterrestrial invasion? Yes, I'm talking about the prequel to Aliens of 1986, Alien, released in 1979. Good memory, guys. Directed by Ridley Scott, it's considered to be a masterpiece in the sci-fi genre. Though it's received mixed reviews, it has been internationally acclaimed and provided the narrative core for the sequel. Not swayed by the criticisms, Weaver stood by her first lead role in a motion picture and was recognized for her acting talents as a newcomer. She finally received the much-awaited success in the next part. That woman has guts, I must say. A signal from a nearby moon awakens the 7-person crew of the commercial spaceship Nostromo, which is returning to Earth. The team consists of the pilot, Lambert, engineers Parker and Brett, Captain Dallas, Science Officer Ash, Executive Officer Kane, and Warrant Officer Ripley. When they investigate the transmission, they find a deserted alien spacecraft with a danger warning. While Kane further investigates, he discovers a room covered in eggs. When one opens and attaches itself to his face, the team decides to allow him onto the ship in violation of quarantine laws. After some time, the creature detaches but leaves Kane with an extraterrestrial embryo that erupts from his chest, killing him and escaping inside the ship. As the team tries to locate and destroy the alien, they learn that it's an invincible force. Ripley finds out that the company orders are to retrieve the alien, and the crew is expendable. When Ash, who has been attacking Ripley, reveals that he is an android, he is eventually destroyed. The alien ends up killing the rest of the crew, bar Ripley. The Nostromo explodes, and the only survivor is Ripley, who barely manages to escape in a shuttle. Having discovered the alien is hiding in her shuttle compartment, she defeats it and makes her last log entry before going into stasis to return to Earth with Jones, her pet cat. Good news for fans, the movie gets a reboot in a couple of years, and our favorite Weaver returns to the screen to fight aliens once again. If you're ready for a movie marathon, Alien might just be the best choice.
A bead for the birth of our son.
Avatar: The Way of Water. Remember the 2009 craze for all things blue when James Cameron's human hybrids hit the silver screens? No brownie points for guessing. I'm obviously talking about Avatar. This epic science fiction movie has continued over the years with its latest installment, Avatar: The Way of Water, released in December 2022. It's the highest-grossing movie since COVID-19 and has a number of sequels lined up. Sigourney reappeared in the film as Kiri Te Saleh and as Dr. Grace Augustine's daughter, her former character which died in the first film. Both of Weaver's characters meet each other through a video recording and spiritual vision. The movie starts off with Jake Sully leading the Omaticaya clan and raising 2 sons, Neteam and Loa, daughter of Tuktire, and adopted daughter Kiri with his partner Neytiri. This is being shown 16 years after the Na'vi successfully drove the Resources Development Administration off Pandora. Under the leadership of a recombinant Colonel Miles Quaritch, the RDA comes back to Pandora to set up a colony. Miles Socorro, or Spider, is one of the children whom Quaritch kidnaps, and he recognizes Spider as his son. Jake moves his family to the region of the Metkaina tribe for protection. Kiri, Jake's adopted daughter, suffers a seizure when spiritually connecting to an undersea spirit tree. Jake calls Norm Spellman and Max Patel to treat Kiri, but Quaritch traces the Metkaina by following them there and raiding attacking their islands. In order to draw out Jake, Quaritch kills tucuns, a native marine species of Pandora, and ravages villages. When the team discovers that Payakan, a Tulkun ally of the Metkaina, has been exiled, they try to reach out to him, but Quaritch intercepts them. In the ensuing battle, Jake subdues Quaritch after Nataeum sacrifices himself to save his siblings, and Spider finally saves Quaritch but joins Jake's family. Jake's family remains aboard the Metkaina following Nataeum's burial, resuming their fight against the RDA while adjusting to life on the water. It's listed as one of the most valuable blockbusters of 2022, with an average rating of 7.1 out of 10. Weaver's performance has been especially praised for its compelling and emotional portrayal. Despite her transformation into Kiri, she somehow holds up the essence of Grace. The more, the merrier. I don't think I need to convince you guys to watch an Avatar movie. This legendary science fiction franchise has a truly dedicated fan base, and if you're still not one, get on the boat right now. Galaxy Quest. A special treat for Star Trek fans, this 1999 sci-fi comedy movie was an affectionate parody of science fiction, particularly Star Trek. The story revolves around a cast from a fictional cult television series called The Galaxy Quest, who suddenly gets entangled in a true interstellar dispute when real aliens mistake the show for an actual documentary. Ranked as one of the funniest movies of 2012 and gaining a cult status, the movie earned Weaver a Saturn Award for Best Actress. Absolutely saw that coming. Galaxy Quest's former superstar, Jason, is shocked to learn that the Thermians are taking him to a carefully restored replica of the Galaxy Quest spaceship, the NSEA Protector, where he has to defeat the Thermians' opponent, Saris. Though he still thinks it's a publicity stunt, Jason plays along and beats Saris for the time being. When Jason returns to Earth, he realizes the event was real and tries to prove it to his doubtful co-stars, Alexander, Gwen, Tommy, and Fred. The Thermians approach him once more, and Jason now seeks the help of his colleagues, who agree to board the actual NSEA Protector. But when Saris reappears and demands the Omega-13, a fictional gadget that can rewind time by 13 seconds, their task becomes deadly. In the end, they're able to stop Saris and protect both Earth and the Thermians thanks to a Galaxy Quest admirer, Brandon, and his circle of other enthusiasts. Finally, they travel back to Earth as heroes, welcomed by dedicated fans. This movie is one of a kind, with its mind-blowing blend of sci-fi and comedy, and is highly celebrated among Star Trek fanatics. If you just finished watching the last of Star Trek and don't want to get out of the hangover, then check this out. The Ice Storm. How about we take a break from all the sci-fi adventures and explore some drama? The Ice Storm is a 1997 American drama based on the novel by the same name. Directed by Ang Lee, the movie stars Sigourney Weaver in a prime role. Not to mention, the rest of the cast has some top names like Joan Allen, Kevin Kline, and Tobey Maguire, among others. The movie opened to positive reviews and bagged nominations to the Cannes Film Festival of 1997. Weaver added another feather to her hat with this movie by winning the BAFTA Award for Best Actress in the Supporting Role category. The film revolves around two wealthy households in suburban Connecticut, the Hoods and the Carvers, whose life turns upside down on one Thanksgiving holiday in 1973. Ben Hood, his wife Elena, and their kids, Paul and Wendy, make up the Hood family. The Cavers are their neighbors, where Jim lives with his wife Janie and children, Mikey and Sandy. Feeling frustrated with marriage and work, Ben Hood resorts to an extramarital affair with Janie Carver. On a Friday night after Thanksgiving, the families head to a neighborhood key party where spouses randomly pick up a key belonging to a fellow mate and choose them as a sexual partner. Elena engages in intercourse with Jim Carver while Ben is drunk in the toilet. Meanwhile, Paul is seemingly unable to form a romantic relationship with his love interest, Libbets, as Wendy manages to seduce the young Sandy Carver. Wow, complications. Mikey Carver, the sensitive kid, goes out into the night in a raging ice storm and gets electrocuted by a fallen electrical wire. Next morning, the discovery of Mikey's body sends Ben into shock, and the two families and grieve the tragedy together. The story ends with a very distraught Ben sobbing uncontrollably on his way to pick up Paul from his hostel, as the reality of the matter dawns on him. The ice storm unravels the idea of a perfect American dream like no other. Tracing the disintegration of two upscale families, it showcases the deep-seated disillusionment and moral decay that underlies the apparent affluence. Be it adultery or substance abuse, the film exposes the elements of discontent and dysfunction boldly amidst the metaphorical ice storm and its frozen chill reflecting the people's emotional numbness. I'd say go for this movie if you want to explore some intricate family drama and top-notch performances. Avatar. I guess the room's gotten really serious. But don't worry, I'm ready to lighten up the mood with the legendary 2009 sci-fi film Avatar. Yes, the blue humanoids are back again. Written and directed by James Cameron, this is the first installment of the franchise and is set in the far future of the 22nd century. Avatar increased the popularity of 3D films, winning numerous accolades and making history at the box office. Weaver lays at the very heart of the movie, acting as Dr. Grace Augustine, the head of the Avatar program. In 2154, Earth is facing an ecological disaster and is draining out of resources. To mine the precious mineral unobtainium under Dr. Grace, the Resources Development Administration, or RDA, runs an Avatar program on Pandora, the gorgeous moon of Polyphemus. Home to the Na'vi, a 10-foot-tall human-like species, RDA tries to explore Pandora with the help of a paraplegic former Marine, Jake Sully. Jake has his avatar genetically engineered to resemble him. During a mission, Jake's avatar is under attack from wild flora and fauna, but is saved by a princess of Na'vi, Neytiri. She brings Jake to her clan, where her mother, Moat, demands his initiation, despite initial suspicions against him. Jake has been promised the power to walk again by Colonel Miles Quaritch of the RDA in return for gathering information about the Na'vi and their residence, the Home Tree, sitting on a rich unobtainium deposit. Jake falls in love with Neytiri while adjusting to their native lifestyle. However, as the RDA makes threats to demolish Home Tree, tensions increase. Grace warns Quaritch not to order its demolition, who pays no heed to her and destroys it, causing irreparable loss to the Na'vi. Grace and Jake are imprisoned after being revealed as spies, but he gains back the trust of the Na'vi by connecting with Tura, a creature worshipped by the tribe. Jake organizes the Na'vi people to oppose RDA, and with the support of Pandorian wildlife, they expel RDA from the planet. Quaritch is killed in the process, and Jake decides to live on Pandora in his avatar form. Watch Avatar, probably for the umpteenth time, to enjoy a trip in the lush scenery and witness nature triumphing over man once again. The Year of Living Dangerously. Some good old-fashioned romance never did any harm, right? So let's talk about the 1982 romantic drama The Year of Living Dangerously, adapted from the novel of the same name, authored by Christopher Koch. The movie casts Sigourney Weaver and Mel Gibson in the lead roles. Set against an Indonesian political upheaval, the movie shines bright among 80s romance films. Moving to Jakarta, the young, inexperienced Australian news correspondent Guy Hamilton finds it hard to establish himself in a cutthroat journalism world. He befriends Billy Kwan, an Australian-Chinese dwarf man who helps him get interviews with powerful political figures. Through Billy, he then meets the British diplomatic employee Jill Bryant and eventually falls for her. But things start to get tense when Jill passes on secret information to Guy about China supplying arms to the Indonesian Communist Party. Billy and Jill are dismayed by the fact that Guy wants to stay in Jakarta to cover the communist uprising and cut contact with him. Guy and Jill witness the terrible death of Billy, who opposed President Sukarno's government amidst political unrest and military control. Determined to find the truth, Guy storms the presidential residence where the military wounds him. Guy rests at Billy's house, reflecting on the lessons he was taught and the mayhem that has engulfed them. He finally makes a difficult escape from Jakarta with the help of his faithful valet Kumar and reunites with Jill. Mushy romance in the face of a parliamentary chaos and sprinkles of journalistic endeavor? I don't think you'll need anything more for an exciting movie night.
Bring him to me!
Gorillas in the Mist. If I said there's literally no limit to the kind of characters that Sigourney Weaver has essayed, the role of a naturalist in a movie called Gorillas in the Mist would surely vouch for it. Playing the life story of Dian Fossey, Weaver absolutely nails it. The film was an adaptation from the real accounts in Fossey's novel and released in 1988, fetching another Best Actress award for Weaver. Having been influenced by Louis Leakey, a famous anthropologist, professional therapist Dian Fossey dedicates her life to studying primates, particularly mountain gorillas in Africa. With Leakey's encouragement, she travels to Congo and begins her research there, with the help of a local animal tracker, Sambagari. However, political turmoil brought on by the Congo crisis forced her to relocate to Rwanda. Despite challenges like poaching and corrupt management, Fossey's efforts got international recognition, and National Geography provided her with a grant. Fossey meets the photojournalist Bob Campbell, who is sent by National Geographic to cover her work, and they have a brief romantic encounter. However, their romance ends when Campbell proposes to her under the condition that they vacate the Karisoki gorilla refuge. When her beloved gorilla, Digit, is hunted by the poachers, Fossey gets even more determined in her efforts to protect them. She resorts to extreme measures that upset her co-workers. Fossey's relentless anti-poaching inspections and confrontations with traffickers like Van Vechten to prevent the illegal export of gorillas led to her assassination in 1985. Although the exact cause of her death remains unsolved, Fossey's legacy lives on. Sambagare buried her next to the apes she spent her entire life protecting. Despite her controversial methods, Fossey's initiatives are credited for preserving the mountain gorillas from extinction. In my view, nobody could have portrayed Dian Fossey better than Weaver. Her emotional and realistic performance make this movie worth watching.
Something else in the lake!
The Cabin in the Woods. Okay, so when I say this movie has got everything, trust me, it really does. Starting from science fiction to horror and even comedy, this cabin is surely one place you'd not want to visit. Keep your wits about you for this, because it's going to be one hell of a ride. Drew Goddard's directorial debut, The Cabin in the Woods, hit the theaters in 2011 and received instant acclaim for being a breathtaking horror film. Sigourney plays a mystical role of the director, and her enigmatic character will leave you yearning for more. When a bunch of American college students, Jules, Dana, Kurt, Holden, and Marty, go to spend the weekend at Kurt's cousin's cabin in the woods, engineers Gary Sitterson and Steve Hadley plan an act of worship in a hidden laboratory. They give the students mind-altering drugs and operate the inn remotely. The students accidentally summon Patience Buckner's zombie family and discover a variety of creepy things in the cabin's cellar. As their friends die one by one, Dana and Marty attempt to uncover the truth behind the tragedy and realize that they're being controlled. Once the duo manages to knock down the lab engineers, they confront the director in an old temple, who is the mastermind of this entire ritual. It turns out that the ceremonial act was to appease the Ancient Ones, a group of vengeful subterranean deities. The human sacrifice was planned to target 5 different kinds of people and was intended to take place in a certain order. The director pleads with Dana to kill Marty and finish it, but they rebel, unleashing a swarm of monsters that destroy the facility while the director is killed by Patience. In the end, Dana and Marty remain the only survivors, concluding that mankind is not worth saving. This movie will transcend you to a zombie land where the miseries of this unsuspecting group of friends will pose the same question time and again. Should humanity be saved at any cost? Food for thought.
Pass me a set of papers, and let's get on with it.
Working Girl. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't waiting to dive into this movie. Set in the busy city of Manhattan, this typical American rom-com is just what we needed after the intense adventure in the terrifying cabin. Directed by Mike Nichols, Working Girl received 6 Golden Globes, with Weaver getting the Best Supporting Actress award. Guys, I guess it's pretty evident now that Weaver's going to shine no matter the role. Tess McGill is a hard-working woman from Staten Island who aspires to climb the corporate ladder in spite of being treated as unintelligent and naive by her male colleagues. She quits her job out of humiliation and finds work as Catherine Parker's secretary, who is an associate in mergers and acquisitions. At first, she is appreciative of Tess, but eventually she tries to steal Tess's proposal for a partnership with Trask Industries. Tess learned about this while watching over an injured Catherine's house and decided to chase the deal on her own. She meets an associate, Jack Trainer, from a different firm. They work together on the merger idea and grow romantically attached. But when Tess finds out that Jack is also seeing Catherine, things get complicated. Following an argument at the merger conference, Catherine's scheme to use Tessa's concept in her name came to light, leading to her termination. With Jack by her side, Tess embarks on the next phase in her career as she accepts a job offer from Trask Industries. She treats her secretary Alice fairly, demonstrating her success and progress in the business sector. So add this feel-good movie to your list, and be ready to enjoy the lovey-dovey plot. Believe me, it's a perfect watch to unwind after a long day. After all, cliches aren't always that bad.
The state of Florida spent $8 million to electrocute Ted Bundy. Wouldn't that...
Copycat. Alright guys, let's conclude this exhaustive list of Weaver's films with what I think is probably the best one. Weaver and her impeccable performance in a psychological thriller. Could it get any better? John Amiel's American psychological thriller Copycat, released in 1995, is widely celebrated among film fans as a remarkable project from the 90s. Following her lecture at a local college, famous criminologist and serial killer expert Dr. Helen Hudson is put through a terrifying experience. One of her past research subjects, Daryl Lee Cullum, an inmate who escaped, assaults her in the restroom. He also kills a police officer before being caught and returned to prison. After the traumatic encounter, Helen develops acute agoraphobia. She confines herself in a technologically advanced apartment and relies on her friend Andy for support. Meanwhile, a wave of brutal murders is ravaging San Francisco, forcing Detective M.J. Monahan and her partner Reuben Goetz to seek Helen's help. Helen becomes an unwilling victim of the insane psychological games of the killer, who's inspired by notorious serial killers like Ted Bundy, Albert DeSalvo, and Jeffrey Dahmer. As the murders become increasingly gory, the killer begins targeting Helen and MJ, forcing them to get the help of Cullum, who claims to know the killer. On the night of her assault, Helen observes a shocking pattern. The killer is following a sequential order of the serial killers she lectured about. Helen and MJ put their minds together to try to predict what the killer will do. When Andy is killed in a way that resembles Jeffrey Dahmer's style, the situation gets worse. MJ figures out that the murderer is Peter Foley, who has been in contact with Cullum and has abducted Helen. Helen's heroic intervention allows MJ to finally kill Foley. But as Cullum contacts yet another serial killer, the story comes to a terrifying conclusion, indicating his evil intention to harm Helen. Marvelous verdict. And with that, we've reached the end of today's video. All I've got to say is that if you immerse yourself in the world of Sigourney Weaver's performances, you're in for a memorable night. Watching a collection of her movies is no less than finding a treasure trove. Be it her versatility in a wide array of roles, or her bold moves of featuring in women-led films, it speaks volumes about her status in Hollywood. So grab some snacks and get ready for a Weaver movie marathon. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.